Mayor Mamdani, thanks so much for joining us. The storm is New York City's ninth snowiest since 1869. Earlier today, there were reports of some power outages in some parts of your city. What can you tell us about that? And has anyone been hurt in this storm to your knowledge?
So it's a real pleasure to be on, Jake, and I can just start with the power outages. So we were alerted to the fact about 10,000 New Yorkers lost power, mostly concentrated in the Rockaways, and this time about 8,000 of them have recovered that power. We sent out emergency personnel to inspect the conditions, as well as opened up 3 warming centers to ensure that for any New Yorker who was without power, they had a place to stay warm and to stay safe. Because as you said, this is one of the largest amounts of snowfall the city has ever received. This is the first blizzard since 2016, and citywide we saw about 19 to 20 inches. There were parts of New York City, like eastern Staten Island, we saw 24 inches of snow. Now, thankfully, that snow has come to an end at this time, and now it's a question of response, and I can tell you that we don't have any indications that anyone has lost their life as a result of this blizzard. We have been using every tool we have to try and get homeless New Yorkers inside over the course of this snow, where they can be safe and they can be warm.
The storm's also, of course, having a major impact on air travel. The last flight to depart New York's LaGuardia Airport was a Southwest Airlines flight to Nashville at 8:19 p.m. last night. Do you have a sense of when airlines might feel it will be safe to resume travel?
I can't tell you an exact time. I can just tell you that we're going to be using every tool that we have to make sure that it is safe to travel, whether by air, whether by bus, whether by train, whether by bike, or whether by foot or by car. And frankly, we're very lucky here in New York City that we have the incredible men and women of the DSNY, our Department of Sanitation. I began my day today with them at around 6:30 a.m. seeing their Blade Runner 2.0 system, where they showed me that by 5:30 a.m. this morning, they had hit more than 99% of our city's streets with a first plow attempt. And that continues through the day as they have 2,500 hardworking men and women on every single 12-hour shift. Right now, actually, there will be about more than 2,000 who are returning from a shift, more than 2,000 about to go on another shift.
Your city's urgently hiring emergency snow shovelers to help remove snow and ice from public areas, offering people $30 an hour. House Republicans are criticizing you for requiring workers to bring multiple forms of identification to sign up for that job. They tweeted, quote, "Let's get this straight. In Zohran Mamdani's socialist utopia, it takes 2 forms of ID to shovel snow, but no ID to vote. Make it make sense," unquote. What's your response to that, sir?
Well, here in New York City, we follow the law, and it's federal law to require certain forms of identification in order for someone to actually be paid for this kind of a job. And so that's what we're asking for, 2 forms of identification. It's a long-standing city program. It's a long-standing city policy. And thanks to the hard work of DSNY, they've expanded their capacity for how many New Yorkers they can supervise at a time, now up to 1,800 per shift. And so these hardworking men and women who've signed up over the course of the last few days and last few weeks, they've joined the work that sanitation has been doing, and they're clearing crosswalks, bus stops, fire hydrants, helping our city get back on its feet.
President Trump today briefly brought up the snow shoveling situation in your city. Take a listen.
It's so crazy. The mayor of New York, and he's a very nice person. I met him, but his ideology is not too good. But we're having a massive snowstorm right now, and I've heard that he's asked people to come out and help shovel the snow. Okay, so you get a shovel and you start shoveling, right? What the hell? You're not going to help too much, but you can help.
The president actually praising you in there for being nice while kind of dismissing your snow shoveling plan. Have you talked to him at all about the storm, if you need federal assistance? How often do you talk or text with him?
I will keep those conversations private. However, what I will tell you is that the conversations that I have had in the past with the president, including that at the Oval Office, as he had shared right after, we're always focused on New York City and how we can make sure that we are actually helping New York City. And frankly, this emergency snow shoveler program is one that allows every single sanitation worker to be on the plows, to be on the salt spreaders, to get this city back up and running. It's why they've been able to disperse about 50 million pounds of salt. And then these snow shovelers are the ones who supplement the work, frankly, of the department. And what we've seen is is here in New York City, as is the law, property owners have to clear the sidewalk in front of their property. They have to clear the crosswalk that's abutting them. And yet there were about 4,000 violations in the last storm of this. Our interest, frankly, is not in issuing violations, it's in finding compliance. And so this is also work to assist in that.
While I have you, there are a couple of things going on in your city I want to ask you about. Starting this month, New York City is hosting a
Please.
rental rip-off hearing in each borough to address so-called bad landlords and predatory management companies. What will the city do in response to serious complaints? Obviously, it's not nothing to allow venting and allow people to bring things to the attention of authorities, but what are the authorities going to do with that? Is there going to be legal action? Are there going to be new policies developed? What will it ultimately actually mean?
So it's exactly that, Jake. It's actually to inform a lot of the new policies we're going to be putting together. We want to make sure that those policies are reflections of what so many tenants have had to go through time and time again, whether it be the kind of absurd junk fees they're forced to pay or the kind of conditions that they're forced to consider to be habitable when they know that they are anything but that. I mean, when I was running for this office, I remember standing in front of a building where the landlord had been found guilty of having a beehive that was not actually addressed over the course of many, many months. This is what many tenants are living through. We're going to have one of these in each borough to make sure that when we are putting together our comprehensive housing plan, when we're putting together our accountability mechanisms for bad landlords, that they're actually a reflection of what tenants are having to live through.
We've also seen in recent weeks anti-Israel protests take place in New York City right outside synagogues. One explicitly pro-Hamas, which the U.S. government considers a terrorist group, and it's a group that has killed innocent Americans. In response, the new Speaker of the New York City Council formally introduced a bill to allow the police department to ban protests within a perimeter of up to 100 feet from any houses of worship to protect congregants' rights to peacefully pray and avoid, quote, injury, intimidation, and interference from demonstrations. A hearing on the bill is scheduled for Wednesday. What's your position on the bill?
So, I've said time and time again that this is a city where we can hold many things at the same time. One of them being that this is a city where every single New Yorker, that includes Jewish New Yorkers, as well as Muslim New Yorkers, Christian New Yorkers, New Yorkers of any faith or no faith at all, can be able to go and worship freely in a house of worship. And it's also a city where New Yorkers should be able to exercise their First Amendment rights. So upon becoming the mayor of our incredible city, I directed my law department and my police department to investigate the legality of this specific proposal as well as other related ones and to come back to me with a review. And what I can tell you is that my police commissioner has shared some concerns about the way in which this legislation was initially written as per its actual operability.
All right, New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, thank you. Good luck with the storm. We appreciate your coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jake. Real pleasure.